Alright folks, this is a Ford Focus. We're going to do rear, brake pads, and rotors. Alright, if you look closely, there is no material left. This is all metal. Alright, that's where the noise is coming from. So I'm going to change the rotors and we're going to change the brake pads. Alright, so back here is a 7mm Allen bolt. Alright, so you need a socket to remove this one. Then you got the one on the bottom. Then we're going to pop the spring off over here. Alright, so pop the spring off. We're just going to stick it right in here. I'm going to get the little bugger out. Okay, top or bottom, doesn't matter. Do it with my left hand. Let me set up a little tripod for you. Alright, in this rainy, little crappy day today, let's go get this little wire off. Okay, just gotta pry it off every way that you can. You gotta reuse it, so don't mangle the crap out of it, okay? Put it off to the side. I have a little coil mount over here. I'm gonna put that up there. Over here on the side, there are two little plastic clips. Pop them out. Put them off to the side. Get your 7mm. Okay. Get your 7mm. And want to take the little bolts off in the back. The Allen bolts. Just make sure that you push them all the way out, away from the bracket. Okay. Otherwise, it'll give you a little problem getting this caliper off. So put your little finger there. As you screw it out, you're going to see that the threads are going to come out. All right, that's that. Now you need a little trusty screwdriver. Pry it up and down just to get it out. Sometimes the pads will come out with it. Sometimes they won't. Okay, no big deal. Just go up and down. Take it out nicely. Once it's out, just put it up and put it out of the way. Okay, we have to push this caliper piston back in with a tool. All right, these are your brake pads. This is the inner. You see it has a little bit material in there. Okay, this is the outer. Okay, which has no material. Now, do you see what the problem is here with this? I noticed that it's got 4 brake pads. But this was on the inside. You see the little round circle? And this is the outside. See where it has the little tabs to match that? The problem is that these were installed wrong. See these 2 little notches here? They're supposed to line up with the 2 little notches in your emergency brake. So that means every time that you applied the emergency brake, that was not even moving because it's supposed to grab onto here. Okay? They put it on this side. So the thing was just spinning in the circle in here. It was still coming out, but I don't think it was actually working. Okay? That's the problem. Okay? So I don't know who did this. It's a mechanic from Ford. Has to be, unless a shop just happened to buy Ford brake pads, but I doubt that very much. Nobody buys Ford brake pads or factory brake pads. All right? So, yeah, that's a problem there, people. That's your first mistake there. When you bring work to places that do not know what they're doing. All right, so I'm gonna put the caliper up out of the way. Back here. Oh my goodness. Back there is a 13mm bolt. There's 2 of them. All right. One of them is gonna be easy to get to. The other one, if you notice, has a little hole in the bracket over here. Okay, that's where you put your little socket in there. And that's where you're gonna break it loose. Okay, once you break it loose, you can probably use a ratcheting wrench. Makes it a little easier. Okay. So the ratchet wrench, mamma mia, I didn't break that with it. Da. You know, I'm gonna break it with a breaker bar. Let's try it with a breaker bar. There you go. Now I broke it loose. Because you ain't gonna get it loose with a little tiny wrench, that's for sure. Unless of course you hit it with a hammer. So this is gonna come off. 13mm bolts. I'm gonna store one up there. There's no hardware attached to this brakes, you know, for the gliding of the pads. That's kind of weird, but it's a Ford. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna wire brush this surface right here. Okay, that is where the brake pads ride on, and that's what we're gonna do with that. As for the rotor now, we're gonna change it. Since we don't need it, I'm gonna give it a nice little whack, and I'll pop right off. Let me just move this out of the way. Ready? Pop goes the weasel. All right, so there's the surface rust. Okay, look at the back. You can see that. As you can tell by back here, the only brake part of the brake pad that was working was right here in the shiny part. This here was just riding on rust. Okay, riding on rust, that's all it was. All right. As for parts, we're going to deal with AutoZone. The rear rotors are 54460DL, and these are the gold brake pads, DG1564. All right, like I said, they definitely installed these brake pads wrong. All right, these are the outers, these are the inners. The inners have the two little tabs that are going to touch that emergency brake piston. Okay, so we're gonna clean this all up, wire brush that, get this little wire brush here, then I'm gonna push that piston in. All right, I'll show you how to use the tool to push that piston in. I'm gonna attach it right now because I did the other side for you. All right, we're up to the bracket. We are going to wire brush the surface, or the contact surface of where the brake pads are going to touch. The rest of it, if you want, you can wire brush it, get the dirt off of it, shoot it with some brake cleaner. Okay, no harm, no foul, right? Get a nice wire brush. Just want to get it in that surface because that's where the brake pads settle on. Okay. Spray with some brake cleaner. What do you think? All right. While that is drying, let's go deal with the brake rotor. All right. The brake rotor right there. Let's go dig it out. Got to clean the oil that's on it. Okay. Comes with a little film of oil, so it doesn't rust. At least that's the concept, right? So let's take it out. That's a nice little bag. Throw the old junk back in there, and I like to use it as a little table. All right. Gotta get a rag. Need a nice clean rag, people. Don't want no greasy hands on it or anything like that. So spray it nice inside out, the whole rotor. Because that little film of oil, when it gets hot, it's going to burn. And you're going to smell it. Not that it's, bad or anything like that, but listen, you don't want it to contaminate the brake pads, that's for sure. Okay? That's basically what you want to do. You do not want to contaminate the brake pads. All right, so now we're going to take this, I'm going to throw it up onto the rotor, onto the brake bearing hub. Okay, let's finish that up, and then we're going to continue. See what we got. Dun, dun, dun. Perfect. I usually take a little lug nut to put it in there, just hold it in place so it doesn't fall on you. Okay, you don't want to fall on your toes. Plus the normal gravity wants to bring it out anyway, so at least it keeps it flush. That way when you're ready for the bracket, you put the bracket back on. So let's go do that bracket right now. Hey, how about we give you a different perspective of the bracket and the bolt. All right, it's all nice and clean. It is going to go. Let's see if we can figure out the configuration here, like this. Okay, take your 13mm bolts, line up one of them. I always try not to mess with the rotor and have it bang the rotor too many times. Don't want to scratch it up. Get my ratcheting wrench, which is easy to use. There you go. Okay. Let's go torque it down, and then we'll continue. All right, so if you paid attention, I attached that video on how to use that tool to push the piston in. So I'm going to do it this way for you right now, live. Like I said, I use the tool. Make sure that it's straight up and down. See how it almost at the 12 and 6 o'clock to the caliper. Okay, that's the way the other one has to go. They all have to go the same way. All right, so we're gonna turn it to the right and push it in at the same time. It should be pretty decent. It should not be that hard to push in. If it's hard to push in, then you definitely have a caliper problem. Okay, so let's just push it in. See how far it goes. This one's maxed all the way out because, like I said, I showed you the brake pads. They were down to, one side was down to nothing. So this one's going to take a while to push in. Like I said on that video, it sucks with this extension. It's just a bad design of this tool. But it is what it is. Nothing we can do. Ooh. It's gonna take a while. I want you guys to see it. I'm still pushing it, okay? Let's get it in. Alright, so it took a little longer. I whipped out the heavy artillery. Used a 1/2-inch drive with the adapter. And look what I did here. Remember I told you about these tools? See, the problem is that when you stick it all the way in, it sticks past that point. And these little pins only grab a little bit of it, not fully into the hole. So you have a hard time cranking it in because it keeps slipping. So go find yourself a nice washer with a hole in it. Fits perfectly. And when you put this in there like this, look at that. Perfect. Okay, so now you can use the whole pin into that little hole in the caliper, and it spins a lot easier. So yeah, sometimes you have to compromise and make your own freaking tools, because the tools you buy out there are junk. All right, so like I said, make it 12 and 6. After it's all the way in, put the brake pads in. Remember, put the right brake pads in. The one with the 2 little tabs go on the inside. Okay, because that's what grabs onto that caliper. Okay, let me set you up here because it keeps falling off over here. Da, da, da. All right, back to regular programming. Put the brake pads on, right? The one with the 2 notches straight up and down, go in the back. These go in the front. Make sure these bolts are all the way in. I'm going to take this up and over, slide the caliper on. Okay, once the caliper goes on, put on your 2 little bolts there. Now it's got to be a little bit of a tension on it, because remember, the outside pad has that little spring, so that's going to give you a little bit of a fight for you to get it on. Okay, but take your time. Make sure these screws go in easy. If you're having a hard time, that means you got it cockeyed, cross-threaded, whatever words that you guys want to use. All right. So, got to make sure that it goes in there like that. Make sure the bolt's going through. And then you are all the way home. There you go. All right, get the torque specs, torque them to specs, make sure there's nothing binding. This thing should have a little bit of a wiggle room, but the brake pads are brand new, so they're going to be very tight. But you want to make sure that it slides on these little 2 pins. It's going to slide just a little bit, just for you to see. All right, and then put your 2 little plastic covers on here, snap, snap. Let's go get the torque specs first. I'll be right back. All right, let's put the little dust covers back on. They're well worth it, because in the old days, you got dirt in that little hole over there. You couldn't get your tool in there to fit in there. All right, this is the hard part all the time. These little stupid springs. All right, see how I'm gonna do this one. Put it on the bottom first. Okay, get that in there. I'm gonna hold this one in the hole, or at least close to it, and then I'm gonna try to bend this over. So I'm going to try to grab this piece here onto the brake caliper bracket and swing it over. Watch your fingers, people. Oh, came out of the hole. Yeah, this is the hardest part of the job. This thing here. There you go. Once you get it kind of set, just hammer it in. Take a little tap. And then you are good to go. All right, that's it. That's on there, that's on there. All right, there you go, people. There's your brakes. All right, thanks for watching. Ciao. All right, so this is the right rear. Let's go over into the left rear, which is the driver's side. This is the one that the brake pads was worn out to nothing. All right, spinning free. These are the brake pads. This is the one that has nothing. And this is the one that has a little bit of something. A little bit of meat left on this one. Okay, you can see it. This is the material right there. There's nothing in this one. All right. So the caliper was maxed out. Let's see what happens. It's a wait and see